Welcome back to the Ancestral Findings podcast. You ever hold something small in your hand that feels way bigger than it should? That's how this postcard hit me. I pulled it from the box, expecting a quick glance, and instead, I found myself standing on the deck of a ship, chasing a whale across the open sea. Not literally, of course, but in my mind, I was right there with them. The front of this postcard shows a dramatic scene, an artist's rendering of the early whaling days in Nantucket, Massachusetts. A small wooden boat crests a wave as a group of men brace against the pull of a harpoon line. At the center of it all, a massive whale's tail rises from the ocean like a dark flag of defiance. In the background, a towering three-masted ship waits in the swell. No engines, just sails, sweat, and hope. The caption on the back says, "Early Whaling Days, Nantucket, Massachusetts. Artist's concept of whaling scene in the days of wooden ships and iron men. Many such scenes are depicted in the famous whaling museum on Nantucket Island." That phrase sticks with me. Wooden ships and iron men. It's poetic, but when you stop and think about it, it's also a little unsettling. These weren't fantasy adventures. They were dangerous, exhausting, and often deadly. Whaling meant being away from home for months, sometimes years. It meant facing storms, sickness, and the very real possibility of not making it back. Nantucket was once the beating heart of that industry. Before the beaches and bike rentals, it was one of the world's busiest whaling ports. In the early 1800s, more than 70 whaling ships called it home. This little island in Massachusetts had a global reach, all because of the whale oil that lit lamps and greased machinery around the world. And it's worth remembering just how central whale oil was to everyday life. Before petroleum, it was the fuel of choice. People relied on it to light their streets, cook their food, and lubricate the gears of the industrial age. That oil came at a price, and it's this postcard that reminds me of the men who paid it. You look at the scene and start noticing little things: the tension in the oars, the wind in the sails, the sheer size of that whale compared to the boat. It's not just art, it's storytelling. And even though this card was designed decades later, it somehow captures the danger, the grit, and the weird beauty of that world. Now, I've never been to Nantucket, but I've walked through old harbors and stood on decks that creak under your boots. Places like this have texture. You can almost hear the echo of shouted orders, smell the salt in the ropes, and imagine the dark below decks where men bunked in shifts. And that's what I love about postcards like this one. They give us a window, not into fantasy, but into the way things actually were. The hardships, the hopes, and the hard-earned dignity of doing something few others could. If you ever find yourself in Nantucket, you can still visit the Whaling Museum. It's not just a collection of tools and charts. It's a tribute to a generation that dared to chase giants. Men who rode into the unknown in hopes of bringing back enough oil to light the world, and maybe enough money to build a life on shore. This postcard may be a simple souvenir, but it holds the weight of history. And that's what this series is all about, finding the past in unexpected places. Got a favorite postcard of your own? I'd love to see it. Head over to ancestralfindings.com, click on the contact link, and send me a note. Who knows? Maybe your postcard will end up in one of these episodes. Until next time, I'm Will, and this has been Postcards from the Past. If you've got a hard-to-find ancestor you're stuck on, I'd love to hear about it. Just head over to ancestralfindings.com and click on Contact to send me a message. While you're there, take advantage of our free weekly genealogy lookups. Explore thousands of articles and enjoy hundreds of podcast episodes. We've been helping family history researchers since 1995. And if you're looking for even more, check out our Genealogy Gold Q&A series over on Patreon. Thanks for listening. And as always, happy searching.